New concerns over the region's apple crop after a season full of storms. Viglienzoni has that story.
It's the start of apple season in our region, but some orchard owners are still assessing damage from the wild weather this year. Sentinel Pine Orchard in Shoreham says they have to sell their apples at cider prices. They usually sell extra fancy apples, but this year they couldn't make the grade, and it's costing them.
We're getting approximately $5 a bushel. If we got all extra fancies, big counts, we'd be getting upwards $20, $25 a bushel.
Bad weather earlier this year in May and early June led to deformities in the apples like these. Now they can't be sold as extra fancy and instead have to be made into cider. Just up the road, Champlain Orchards was spared the hail damage that hit their neighbor, but Tropical Storm Irene toppled some trees that were heavy with fruit and foliage.
About 300 trees broke off completely, and about 300 to 400 have fallen over with their crop, and we've had to prop them up or leave them down until we finish harvest.
Officials say less than 1% of the apple trees in the state were damaged by Irene, but the apple harvest is expected to reach 600,000 bushels, down 28% from last year.
Most of the heavy losses were in the wholesale production, so that those apples, there will be some shortages, but they'll really start occurring in maybe February and March and April rather than in the fall.
Across the lake, New York is expecting about 30 million bushels, around last year's total. The state is the nation's second largest apple producer, and officials say the storms didn't cause widespread damage.
We had some sporadic instances of some trees actually being toppled over because the ground was so saturated, but again, that was sporadic. Really didn't see too much of it.
But apple orchards in Vermont are still open for picking. Owners are now reaching out to their customers to let them know there are still plenty of good apples.
As everyone knows, it's been a very wet year, not just Hurricane Irene recently, but wet through the summer. And that's allowed the fruit to size up well.
And they hope that fruit will draw visitors throughout the fall. Viglienzoni, Channel 3 News, Shoreham.